Here we go. In all its glory. It's actually tidy at the minute because I'm in between projects. So in we go. First off, we have lovely shelves. I'd have to have everything out. I like all the colours. I feel it's really inspiring. So we start from here and I'm going to go clockwise round. We actually have what I call the craft corner because it's the craft cupboard. The cupboard actually came from someone's barn. It was so covered in spiders and accumulated hundreds of years filth that when I got it home I actually washed it with the hose pipe before I dared bring it in the house. And then the wood was so nice but a bit just too brown for me that I just came up with a half painting idea so that it looked like a bit like peeling paint on old doors, which I always really feel inspired by when I see the layers of paint. So that's what I actually tried to recreate with this paint thing here. And I used red because it matched the chest of drawers, which were thrifted so many years ago and used to be used when my daughter was a baby. We have the overlocker, which is quite a new purchase for me. I've only had it a year, but my goodness, it's made a difference. Underneath, projects, unfinished projects, and the purple things, my scraps basket, which I keep all my scraps in. My actual sewing table is my old dining table. I had to cut the legs down a bit to get it the right height, but it's made a really good big working surface. And I sew on my 1959 Bernina, and I was so lucky to get this. When I was still gardening, one of my ladies, who's a friend, just said her mum had this Bernina and it was she didn't use it, and so would I like to have it? And of course I just said yes. At one point I think I've had about 5 old machines, but this was the one I really wanted to get working again. And then I started to strip it down and I got so much of it done and I was stuck on the last bit and happened to find a really lovely man in Newcastle who I took it to, and within an hour he had the last bit unstuck. And so I love sewing on it. It's a really good heavy machine, so it doesn't move about on the work table. And it has everything I need. I really don't need all the embroidery programs. I do normal sewing. If I want to embroider, I embroider by hand. So I was really lucky and I'm very grateful I've got it. And I love the fact that it's on my sewing table. And my chair, I call it the Frankenchair. It's a Frankenstein of 2 chairs. There was a very old typist's chair bottom that got spray painted silver, but I took the seat off and added the seat from an old dining chair that I'd had for years and was in a bit of a poor state. But it got a lovely, absolutely love the paint job on here that I did. It's just, it makes me feel lovely when I sit in it because I love the colours. Look at that, it's so pretty. I love it. And I know I'm meaning business when I sit in the Frankenchair. My shelves have just everything to hand and I like the way it's all colourful. So boxes with ribbons in, that's my button jars. Oh, I can turn the light on. Michael installed a light so my buttons could look all beautiful when the light was on. Here, have a closer look. How pretty, they're like jewels. And my daughter and I spent a whole evening sorting the button tins out until they were all in different jars of colours. So now if I need a green button I can just go to the green jar. And next to them are the jars of beads. Next to that are the pots of old tools. These are old rug hugging tools. Get that in focus. and old boxes. This is a relatively new box. I found it in a thrift shop for £3 and it was in a bit of a bad state, so it's been painted, and if I open it up, I've actually got my hexes in it. Actually, that might be one of the projects that'll come on the project video. And then my embroidery wools in a lovely basket. Just old stuff, nothing I can say really, just old stuff. Stones, pebbles off the beach, for some reason a pheasant's wing on a tree. I thought I might have had a business making model trees for railway enthusiasts, but they took so long to make, it was going to be too expensive. So I just have one lovely tree that stays on my shelf. And then the patchwork fabrics, not really just patchwork fabrics, but I wanted a colourful display, so I tried to rainbow them. They're quite often in a big mess though. And this lovely tin was my mum's tin. And I keep my paintbrushes in it, my special paintbrushes. It's got Shakespeare on it. I don't know how old it is, quite old. It's got all my special paintbrushes in. And then top tier, stuff I don't use very often, my knee hoop. Oh, that's my great grandma's carpet bag, and I have miniature crochet and knitting in there, like knitting really tiny. Barbie, a steampunk Barbie. And then feathers and pine cones and just all sorts of rubbish really. Down here we've got the sewing bits, so my iron and my patterns store in a nice little basket. And the cupboard's just been recently repainted, and so in there I hold projects, and I'll let you have a look. As you can see, it's absolutely chock-a-block full. Felt, white cottons, a project in that bag there that'll probably be on the next video, and then just fabric I can't fit in anywhere else. Old jumpers, I've got lots and lots of old wool jumpers because I made a coat out of them a few years ago and I can't throw the rest of them out. I've got all my Holey Stones here. I love them. Every time I go to the beach I'm always looking for stones with holes in. They just sort of, they really speak to me. I love them. This one has 3. I saw that one, I picked it up and I saw that one, and then it has another one going through there. It's amazing. And we're coming round to the ships. I actually started that ship first. As I said before, I found Anne Wood's website and she had ships, so I got the pattern and I made this lovely ship, and I really enjoyed making it. It's just out of cardboard and it's got hankies for sails, and it's made out of cardboard, and I quite enjoyed making it. It's taking me back to my childhood. But as soon as I was making it, I just wanted to make a Viking ship, because I absolutely love Norse mythology. And so then I made my own way, and I made Skidbladnir, so that's what I call it anyway. So Skidbladnir was Freya's magical ship, and it was so magical it could fly through the air, so that's why it's flying, and it could fold down so small it could go in your pocket, but if you needed to carry hundreds of warriors, it could expand large enough for as many people as you wanted. and it always had a fair wind and it always got to where it wanted to go. So it's made out of cardboard boxes and papier-mâché, and these are just cardboard and skewers and a cotton reel for a windlass, and this is just papier-mâché and air dry clay, and the mast is a stick from my garden, and I gave him a raven banner. And when it was finished, I sort of knew it needed a Viking to go on it. And it was about 9 o'clock at night, and I went out into my garden and I picked up a stick and I made Eric. And he's actually made out of a stick from the garden. And you see. And I wrapped it with wire to make his legs and his arms. And I dressed him in some wool and wrapped him in linen, and he has leather armbands and wool hair and a sewing machine spindle thing for a sword. And I think he's lovely. And I decided he didn't need a face in the end, so he's just a little stick man. And he just happens to stand quite nicely if I hook his arm around there. He looks like he's about to go a Viking. Go on, stand up, Eric. There he goes. So that's Skidbladnir, which I'm probably not saying right, but it's the best I can do. And somebody noticed that I had stones on the shelf. It's actually not particularly stones. I do have a fossil ammonite there that I found on the beach. In fact, 2. These are actually Stone Age, well, not really Stone Age tools. That's a hand axe. But I learned how to do flint knapping, and so I made the hand axe and the drill points and the stone scrapers. And I've really enjoyed it, and I want to do more. Nearly at the end now. We've got the cheval mirror, which I saw in a charity shop, and I thought £20 was too expensive, and so I came home without it. And then a few days later I thought, why did I not get that? I need it. And I rushed back down thinking, it's not going to be there, it's not going to be there. And there it was, stood there, and I paid my £20 and brought it home. And then my wool for all my knitting, and I've got a lot of that is just wool left over that I use for other things, but I do have 2 lovely projects in here. This one here is a lovely project called the Giotto, and it's really nice. I'm looking forward to starting that. And the other one is the Yell cardigan by Marie Wallen, and the wool is absolutely gorgeous, and it's Jameson's Spindrift. We're getting around to the fabric side now. So this chest of drawers houses all my fabric, and then I've got a lovely old hand operated singer I have actually used to sew with, and I just feel if ever there's a zombie apocalypse and there's no power, I'll still be able to sew, so that makes me happy. I just like the colourful things round. There's the bunting I made the other day. Really pleased I did that. Almost finished. We've got the computer corner. This is my husband's corner of the room. I took over the rest, and he just had this bit left. But I covered his chair so that he didn't have a boring chair. And we've got Clash of the Titans poster because that's what he liked. And I made the felt dragon from a kit actually. I changed it a little bit, and he just hangs on a bit of fishing line and just wobbles around. I do quite like dragons. Michael likes dragons. There's another little dragon under there. It came from a friend. And this lovely embroidery came from a new friend that I've made who lives in America, and she sent me this in the post, and she said she'd chosen the quote especially for me. I zoom in on it, and I feel so privileged to have got that from her. And it came rolled up in a box, and I went out and I got some sticks off my tree peony that were dried up sticks, and I laced it onto the frame because it just felt like it wanted something a bit organic. And so it's got pride of place in my sewing room. I want to take you for a quick walk out, just to finish off. And although it's been raining, it's really pretty. You can see my bunting's still surviving. Roses. That lovely rose is called Blush Noisette. It's really prolific, needs deadheading. And this one's almost blocking my gateway, but I just push past it. We've got a beautiful Philadelphus here. The scent of this is truly beautiful. It's like sherbet. Molinier. Is that what that rose is called? And beautiful blue campanula. They look gorgeous together. You're going to see how just overgrown it is, but I don't mind. Beautiful Philadelphus, Belle Etoile, that one. Got my shed and a greenhouse. Lots of wood to sort out there. This is where I normally eat my breakfast on a sunny day. This rose has come out loads since I last showed you it. Look at it. There must be thousands of roses on there. I'll go underneath it, past the honeysuckle. You can see all the honeysuckle petals on the path that got cleared. And you can hear the birds. I definitely have lots of birds in my garden. They're just pigeons though. That's where I normally do my little bit of filming in there. This beautiful rose is the garland. And this is Lady of Shalott. How beautiful is that? You can see this is where I haven't done so much. The standard holly got grown from a cutting. There's my rhubarb up here. Lots of lovely hardy geraniums. We're right up at the top now. The ladders are there because I'm supposed to be cutting the hedge down a bit. It's got too high. But I ran out of energy to be doing it, and so I just left the ladders out. It'll have to be done though. Apples on the little apple tree, and this glorious grass. I think we're getting into the depths of it here. I'm getting wet legs from pushing through the wet undergrowth. There's definitely a pond in there somewhere. You can just see it. It's actually bigger than it looks. It's just so overgrown. But the frogs And the toads and the newts and the birds and the dragonflies, they all seem to like it. So we'll just leave it for now. I hope you enjoyed that, everyone. Now you can see where I'm sitting most of the time. If I'm not out gardening, I tend to be in this room during the day doing whatever I fancy doing, whether it's painting or knitting or sewing, mainly sewing. I do love my room. It's definitely my happy place, and it's been lovely showing it to you so you know where things are going on. I'm going to sort some projects out. There's so many, I'm going to narrow it down to about 4 or 5, and I think on Sunday I'll upload those projects, and from whatever you comment on, that'll be the next one I'll start. So I'll be doing it as a stitch book, that's anyway, but I can't just have one thing on. It's usually like 3 different things, and I'm like a little butterfly. I go from, instead of going from flower to flower, I go from craft to craft. So there's nearly always a sewing or a machine thing and a hand thing and maybe a crafty type thing or a knitting thing. All sort of goes on at the same time, dependent on where I am. If I'm outside, I can sit and hand sew or knit. If it's a rainy day, I can sit and sew. And then of course I just go off on a tangent and start making cardboard ships. I actually do want to make another one. I was at a museum a few weeks ago in Whitby, and they have an amazing display of all these old ships, model ships, and there was a collier, and my dad was a miner, and it just made me think that that's what I would try and build. So it looked like a really good shape, and so I'm going to have a little look around at some pictures of some old collier boats, and that probably will be the next one that I will make. But I won't start that until the Raven is finished, and he nearly is, I'm pleased to say, and there's just the finishing touches to do to turn him into what's in my head, and I feel really excited about getting him finished. I have no idea where he's actually going to go, whether he's going to hang from the ceiling or I'm going to make him a scene to be in. Who knows? I won't know till he's finished. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my craft room reveal, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Marion's World and send me a comment, because I really love reading them, and I love seeing where you're all from as well, which is amazing. And I will see you next time with a project video. Enjoy whatever you're having. I'm having a cup of tea as normal. See you next time. Bye from Marion's World.